Alrighty, how is everybody doing today? Um, we are here for lore session number 3.
Hello, Twitch.
Yeah, we've got Aki, one of our players in the games, one of our resident local bigwigs, and then our resident lore advisor. In yes, I am Jess.
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, and we're just today we're gonna focus on talking about um, people of the world. You know, people like not famous people. I guess some of them would be famous, but I guess just important people for the game and for the world lore. Um, Kind of talked about it at the end of last stream. Um,
Yeah.
Last stream we focused on um, what? Oh my god, what did we focus on last time?
The deities.
Yeah, the deities. Wow. Oh yeah, that's right. Because I said I was only going to talk for like 20 minutes about them, then I ended up talking for like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the one before that, it was kind of like the first 100 years of Hyrestria. So if you want to learn any of the other lore, you can always go back and look at those videos on Twitch. I've got them up on YouTube. Um, yeah, you can check them out anywhere. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about people, and I figured we would start in Garbenia with the heads of houses. Um,
Cool.
there's 7 heads of houses that live in Garbenia. Um, they you know they help facilitate. Hey, Dead Hand, how you doing, man? They help facilitate um, a lot of what Selene is trying to get across. You know, like Forrester will go to them, um, and it's in one of the lores on like my BOI back screens, if I'm not mistaken, that Selene doesn't actually make all of the rules for Hyrestria. It's actually the 7 heads of houses. It's almost like um, like going to a normal like government and trying to pass a law. You know, these 7 heads of houses, along with Selene, kind of have the final say on what the laws of Hyrestria are. Um, so you know, if the masses vote that they don't want something that Selene's going for, you know what I mean? It's not just she's the queen and what she says goes. Um, Maybe if she was more present in the world, they might be more of that, you know what I mean? But because she spends all of her time in her castle, nobody ever sees her. It's hard to believe in somebody that's never around, right? So, you know, these 7 heads of houses were kind of put into place in the first age. They were kind of there before all this went down. They were there to kind of help lead Garbenia. Um, and you know they came up with this hierarchy that you know it's going to be a vote kind of system, and every age there is a vote within all of Hyrestria to see which head of house is going to be in power. um, and they each kind of stand for different things. You know, some of them are more warriors, some of them are more scholars, um, some of them are very secretive, some of them are like there's the Furbolg family. You know, I think they are very much you know in tune with nature, just like all the druids and things of the world. Um, you know, so they all kind of stand for different things, and it's it almost seems like the house that's in power at the time is almost what the world has needed at that time, if that makes sense at all. Um, you know, whether the world needs some courage or the world needs some guidance or whatever it is, the head of house tends to kind of coincide with what the world needs. Um, they are some of the people that do remember what happens after the tree. You know, like they know of the whole Othax thing. Um, they aren't first bloods, but they are the first from the first blood. Like they are the first line from that first blood. You know what I mean? You are like these people were the first children of them. Um, and not like all 30 of the first bloods had children, but these were the the names that kind of coincided with those certain things. You know, Um, if you've listened to the lores, you'll know that all the First Bloods kind of had names of power. Like Vesper means balance, Mauser means courage, things of that nature. So all of these houses had their each name of power. And it was something that kind of coincided with the living, like city living, retention of the population and growth and, the ability to stay ahead of the times. They had all of those factors needed. So they were put into power to do this. We'll start with the first one. First one is House Gadeward. They are a Goliath family. Their sigil is a snowy mountaintop. They were founded by Kazakh truth caller Gadeward. They were in head. I'm like right now. I'm just kind of reading off what I have written here, and then I'll kind of go into a little bit more elaborate as we kind of get to the end of what each of them are. But they were the head of houses from ages 3 to 5, and then again in the 18th age. They're very stoic in their approach to life, and they have a reputation for being brutally honest, sometimes to a fault. Their head of house now is Aragon Truthcaller Gadeward. He's 71 years old, and his wife Kiko Mindspeaker Gadeward is 68. They've got 6 children. There's going to be a lot of name reading here. Neorin Truthcaller is 18, Maglath Truthcaller is 11, Egal Truthcaller is 32, and Loudith Truthcaller is 26. Those are the sons. Valia Mindspeaker is 21, and Digia Mindspeaker is 5. Those are the daughters. And they are the only family that ever stayed from higher. A lot of the Goliaths come from higher. They are very strong in their nature. They were built in that strength, and that's what they're here for. They are here to be the pinnacle of strength in Garbenia, and to coming from higher. Not that they lived there long, but it's ingrained in their blood. You know what I mean? Being from Oemis's area, being from Oemis's, each one of the deities, as we kind of talked about in some of the other streams, had their own kind of land. That was his, and it's kind of ingrained in their blood and their DNA, to have that brutal nature about them. So coming from higher, they had that brutal nature about them, and if Garbenia needs people to step up, these are the guys that will go to battle with almost anybody. They're very much similar to the House Windstone. House Windstone, or sorry, not the Windstone. Which one? Rearback, House Rearback, the Gnome family. They're also warriors, and we'll get to them, but these two very much coincide together in their ideals and their thoughts. One in a much more barbaric way than the other one, and you would probably think that the more barbaric way would come from the Goliath family instead of the Gnome family, but it's not. The Gnome family is actually the family of barbarians. It's they are warriors. The Guideward families, they are more of the fighters. They are very strong in strength, but they are also that brutally honest, where they have a little bit more of the cultural society built into what they're doing, where the gnomes are more of that very brutalish, rough and rugged kind of warrior. I know it kind of seems strange to see the two like opposite sizes be like one of them, like the large one is a little bit smarter, but being from higher, you almost have to have a little bit of that smarts built into you, otherwise you're not going to survive. Strength is great, and you can survive off strength, living there, but you're never going to prosper just off strength alone. Strength may win you the strength Olympics that happen there and things of that nature, but it will never get you ahead in their society unless you have a little bit of that political mind. So that's kind of the gist of what they're about. Um, any questions on them? I will kind of come back and like go through more lore as we kind of hit through everybody and stuff like that. But do you guys have any questions on the guide wards off the top of your heads?
No main questions. It sounds rather fascinating, to be honest. So is it sort of some almost minor precognitive power that surrounds them, or like
So
gives them the
it's
root code?
like the name of power. Do you mean the name of power? It's more of um, like a personality. So in sorry, I just have a cough.
Okay.
Um, the first 30, each one of their names, because you know the 30, they were built to have population, to have people, to have substance. You know what I mean? But they were also built to create and to be the architects of Hyrestria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody like Fiando. Fiando. I don't know if you missed that, if
Was
you
it
had gone.
motivation?
Yeah, like
Yes.
Fiando was motivation.
Yeah.
He said to Fornera when she was talking to him that his job was to keep the workers going in Garbinia. He helped build Garbinia. Not in, like he was doing the construction, but he was like that foreman. He was the one that was telling people, you're doing great jobs, keep this up, don't get down on yourself, here's your glass of water. Like he was that motivation to everybody. And that's what he tries to do to you guys still. He tries to motivate you into, knowing what your quest is, and that's why I try to make the dead tree one of the places you go to first in the game, right? So you can go meet that motivation. But yeah, so he's motivation, and it doesn't give them more power in that ability. It's more just like this is the crux of who you are. Like this is say, so if we were to take Vesper for instance, and her being the balance. um, the thing with balance is that balance is very much um, even, right? But balance can also tip, right? So Vesper is usually an even keeled person, but she can, on the drop of a dime, tip one way or the other, right? She can go the complete opposite in being like extremely nice, in then being extremely, like, if can you imagine if somebody were to hurt Gretton, Jess, like she would
Yeah.
fucking, like, she would lose it.
Oh
So
yeah.
no, it would not be good. So that balance can be thrown off. And in her job is to, like, her job in the world was to find a way to keep that balance, right? Mauser is courage, and Mauser, her like courage and balance um, go together in my world, because you can't have balance, you can't have the courage to keep the bad and the evil like as this neutral plane without courage. You can't balance it without. So that's why the two of them are always together. Whenever somebody, whenever the reincarnation works in, like, happens in the world, um, Vesper and Mauser are always reincarnated somewhere together, because they have to work together for the world to go on.
Yeah.
Which is why, for a couple of years, especially the last like 6 ages, um, there has been a lot more death in the actual bloodline loss, right? Like now there's, when you get to the 1371 age, the most champions that I'll let be in that is 6. You know what I mean? Because everybody else at that
Yeah.
point is lost to either Othax, or is hidden away somewhere in fear of actually being wiped out, or things of that nature. So, that there are reasons why there's only so many bloodlines that you're able to find at certain times. There are still a couple that you can find out there in the world. That's, you can see more pictures than just you guys in that Hall of Heroes. But a lot of them are gone. Some of them are turned. Some of them are hiding out in Idia's realm. Just spending time with her because they don't want to come back. In fear of being wiped out for good, and some of them are just hiding in other beings around Hyrestria. Some of them, there are other ones that are bonded to items. Just because Fiando is bonded to this tree doesn't mean there aren't other souls that have been bonded to other things over the ages in attempts to find different ways to get rid of Othax. So there might be other old souls out there that you guys can find in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the names are. At one point, I'll do a stream on the first 30, and kind of go through all of their personalities and who they are and what they represent and stuff like that.
Yeah, it would be fascinating to go over it and find out more about them.
Sure. Okay, so the next house, is very secretive. It is it's House Silverdoll. They are a sigil of a bow with a flaming arrow, and they are a high elf family. Creole Silverdoll was the founder. They were the head of houses in the Second Age, the 13th Age, and the 22nd Age. Now, the thing with these guys is, unless you are a high elf as well, and high up in society, they are not going to have contact with you. Even when it goes to votes and things like that, for the laws and like in Hyrestria, they don't go themselves. They send their stewards and their servants to go, to go portray everything that they want. Very much like Selene does. They don't leave their houses. Nobody knows how many kids they have. Nobody knows the actual name, the first name of the person that's the head of house right now. They just know that it's a Silverdale house. Everything else is just they keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
They live in each house kind of represents what they. I guess we did talk about that with the Gatorade house. Kind of represents what they are. The Gatorade house is their house is built out of huge, gigantic, massive stones, kind of like the castles of old. Do you know what I mean? With those big rustic bricks that aren't shaved down into like smooth sides or anything like that. It looks like they just chipped off a bunch of mountains and found a way to Jenga this thing together. Into this big gigantic rustic looking castle. The Silverdale house is very pristine. They've got ivory towers. If you could almost imagine that, what's like South Sudan, kind of roundish shape with the points at the top. You know what I mean? That kind of back in the Aladdin-ish kind of days, lots of round and pointish towers and things of that nature. Very white. It's all pristine white, kind of like that silverish ivory color.
Yeah.
And it's kept immaculate. It's one of the those houses where at all times there are several servants outside, cutting the hedges, cleaning the windows, making sure that the ivory is as clean as can be. They will not stand for their place to be dirty at all. But trying to get a meeting with one of them, yeah, that's a fucking tough order.
Yeah, that's something where pretty much you're going to be struggling.
Yeah, there have been times in where they have sent word for somebody to come to their house. If there is a fantastic bard that's out there, you know what I mean, somebody that's really great at music, that plays at not the hilarious Ram Crow, the whispering oh my god, what is the name of it? Why did that just escape me? The Whimsical Willow. that the Whimsical Willow in Garbania is like that's the place to play. Like you haven't made it as a musical bard in my world unless you have played at the Whimsical Willow.
Yeah.
If there's a new up and comer that's going to be featured there, a lot of the times, House Silverdal will have them come to their house and play for them first. They are very much music lovers. That's one thing that people do know about them is that they do have a great fond of music. Or are very fond of music. So those were the kind of people that would get invited to their place if you weren't an elf or somebody high up in like stature and nature.
Someone who could come and play to them, and I imagine even when you're coming and playing for them, if you were of a lower caste, they'd probably still look down on you a little bit.
Oh yeah, like just because you're going to their place to play for you doesn't mean that you're actually going to see them. It just means that you're going to their place to play, right? Like they're probably sitting off in another room somewhere, just listening to it, where you're in this one room just playing it, right?
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second here, guys. I just need a glass of water really quick. I always forget to get water.
Yeah. You should remember to have a big 3-liter bottle by you when you start screaming.
Alrighty, I'm back. You know what? That's even better. I forgot that I have this homebrewed cold frozen raspberry tea. It's so good.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, so good. Thank you, wife. I love you. Yeah, so that's kind of how Silverdal. They're very secretive, very much just kind of stay to themselves, and very clean and like music. Next one is the House Rearback. They are the gnome family we kind of talked about for a moment there before. Their sigil is a giant bear standing on its hind legs. Doomtier Rearback was the founder. They were the heads of houses in the 8th to 10th age, the 15th age, and then the 24th and the 25th age. They're a family of barbarians, like I was talking about. They help the First Legion out with anything that they can. If they can help with something in Garbania, they can. If they can send their children, the eldest children and the warriors, the people they have living in their house with them, the people that they help to train, they will send them anywhere that they have to go around the world. They definitely like to help out. The head of house won't go anymore. Like he tries to stay home. They keep the head of houses as safe as possible. Flansnat Rearback, he's the head of house right now. Oh, sorry, she is the head of house right now. She's married to Gonjor Rearback, and they have 11 children. They've got a lot of kids. So I'm going to read a whole bunch of names here. Let's see if I can say them all properly. Take a sip of my drink. Hybrist is 3. Bumtunic and Macac are twins. They're 54. And Nigbinis is 71. It's weird to you create names and you can't say them, but these aren't names that I've ever had to actually use in game before. Jess, are you taking notes? Is that what I hear typing? Who's taking notes?
Yeah, I was taking notes.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing: you don't actually have to take notes because you could always go back and just watch the video if you want.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Nigbis is 71. Those are the sons. Narwem is 46. Wellbill is 82. Pepwu is 102. Natty is 111. And Wembis is 154. Nippis and Mirs are 171, and they're twins. Those are the daughters. So, there's a lot of twins that you're gonna see in here. It's just one of those things that kind of happens. That's one of the things that I won't fully explain to you guys, but something to make note of maybe. So, these guys, they're originally from the Widowwoods. That's where these guys came from. They were helping to protect it in the early stages, in the first years, well, not their first years, in the first age, kind of near the end of it, when all the big battles and all the stuff went down. They were a huge part of helping win the battles. They were a part of putting out the large fire that happened in the Widowwoods. They helped with a lot of the tree movements. They're small, this gnome family, but you're not going to find many families that are stronger than these people. The women included. Strength is not a gender thing in my world. Women are just as powerful as men are, sometimes more so, and especially in House Rearback. Some of the houses, they are head up, like the heads of houses are the women and not the men. It's not a, men rule kind of society. So, they are very much those warriors that help with whatever is needed. I guess what ties them to the First Legion would be their namesake. The Rearback namesake means power, and power again isn't the just kind of like the balance can tip. Power doesn't just mean strength. Power means ability to lead. Power means ability to overcome. Power means many different things. So with their name meaning power, they are that power that helps guide the world. Jess kind of heard about this the other day, where it can be weird to think about the first race as of like the First Bloods to each kind of only have one personality trait that drives them. But what you have to remember in when the world kind of started populating is, each one of the First Bloods kind of gave birth to 150,000 of each of them. You know what I mean? Each one of them, so there was 150,000 balances in the world, 150,000 powers, 150,000, all these things were in the world. And once that was there, Selene and the First Bloods, they stopped creating. They stopped using the knife, you know what I mean, to help just create new souls into the world. How they created new souls into the world now is the 150, they each went and started populating amongst themselves, the natural way. So all of the different personality traits started mixing and matching with each other. Balance then went and procreated with fear. And then, they had a baby that had those personality traits that went in and procreated with another one. And all of the personality traits started mixing amongst each other. And that's, how you get the complex emotions that people have now. So that, that might give you a little bit more insight into, how the names of powers worked and where it kind of breaks down in the world. Because it can be weird to think about that, like I said, just as how are people just these one personality traits? How does that make sense in a world where, people now have, they're just their own people, right? It's because all of the personality traits are now diluted down to this bloodline that is now, muddled. It's not the deity blood anymore. The deity is still slightly in there for everybody, but it's muddled down farther and farther and farther to the personalities and the traits that everybody has now.
That makes fascinating sense.
Yeah, so that's Castle or House Weirback. Next one we have is House Windstone. They are the sigil of two hammers colliding. They're a dwarven family. Dwardric Windstone was the founder. They were the head houses from the 6th Age, the 16th Age, the 17th Age, the 20th Age, and the 23rd Age. When I was trying to figure out who was part of what ages, he was head of what. It took me so many times, like going back to, have I already used this number? Have I used this number somewhere? They were the first blacksmiths. That is what Windstone means. Windstone means blacksmith. And they were, their bloodline, there was two heads of houses for House Windstone. There was the male and the female head, and they were brother and sister. One of them left to go start Duskcliff, and the other one stayed behind. The reason they went to Duskcliff is because Duskcliff is the only place in all of Hyrestria where they found adamantium. Adamantium is the strongest metal in all of Hyrestria.
Yeah.
And their whole house, their entire the Weirback house is kind of like a very elegant log cabin, if you could imagine, because we didn't say anything about that. If you could imagine a very elegant log cabin, that's what House Weirback would be.
Okay.
House Windstone, their entire house is made out of adamantium. And it's a metal that's not found anywhere in the world anymore. Like, people have digged for it, people have mined through mountains. Duskcliff, that one mountainous area, that was the only place that it was found, and it's now run dry. But there are lots of other metals that can be found in that area that aren't found anywhere else. But mining them is very tough. So, Duskcliff is still very much a thing. House Windstone isn't as much into blacksmithing anymore. They more just kind of live their lives. They kind of live as diplomats. They live the diplomatic life. They kind of left the blacksmithing to the guy that went over to Duskcliff. The guy that went to Duskcliff, he even changed his last name. Him and his sister, they almost had a little bit of a falling out. They had a little bit of an argument amongst themselves. I won't go into too much detail of what that argument was, because that's something you guys can find in game. But that's the reason that he left. He changed his name, trying to disassociate himself from it. In House Windstone, the woman that heads it up now, her name is Benelin, and she's married to Thonad, and they have one son, and he's 71 years old. The son, his name is Yomdin. But they respect the guy's decision to leave and to go to Duskcliff. Let me get you his name here. Let me just pull it up really quick, because I don't remember his name off the top of my list. So his name he's now Yarofak Earthmantle. And he's married to Josura, and they have one daughter, Bevrula, and Bevrula is 71 years old as well.
Yeah.
So they respect his choice, even though he left on an argument. They respect his choice to go away, and they don't bug him. They don't bring notice to him. They let him live in his peace, not being part of the family. But yeah, so these guys, they just help out with all the diplomatic natures of the world. Their house, like I said, is this big adamantium house. You can imagine that they do not have security guards at all. They don't need them to try and break into their house. Like, there's literally nothing in the world that can break through that adamantium. Like I don't even think the power of like actually no, the power of the deities could probably get through there. Selene in her weakened state, you know, if she were to leave her house, she couldn't get through that adamantium. But the deities are probably the only thing in the world that could actually get through that. Next house is Kasser Furskrin. They are the sigil of a cross slashing cat claws. They're a Tabaxi family. Nico Furskrin was their founder. They were the head of houses in the 11th age, the 14th age, and they're very much aristocrats. They just like to live that high life. They are snooty, but not in the same way as how Cyrodiil is. They're the kind of people that want to go out in the public and kind of rub their face, like your face, in what they have. Almost a little bit egotistical, which is actually what their name means. Because any big society, somebody who's going to rule it, you have to have a little bit of an ego. Let's be realistic. To rule a country, a society, a world, anything, you have to believe in yourself. And the reason they couldn't just put somebody like Ego in there is because it would just get it would be too much. But when you have the 7 of these houses together, it helps them muddle that ego down a little bit. Because they can't just, they're not the only people voting. They're not just the only people putting in. So, it can balance it out. But they are Ego. Hannah Furskrin, she's 71 years old, is the head of house now, and he's the head of house now. He's married to Misa, and they have 7 children. Misa's 73. The 7 children are Senair, who's 18, Anda is 35, Hus is 37, Ranor is 52. Those are the sons. Ares 28, Naku is 39, Michi is 45, and those are the daughters. And the daughters, it's like if you live in Garbenia and have a little bit of money to yourself, you know what I mean, and are able to attend any of the high class balls or any of the private events at the Whimsical Willow or the Hilarious Round Crow that somewhere like these people would be at, any of the high society events, like the daughters, the sons, everybody wants to like try to marry them. You know what I mean? Like they want to be, like it's that Cinderella like joining the Prince Charming, that high society that everybody wants to be part of.
Yeah, they're like the most desirable people.
Yeah, they like, you got to think like being like Tabaxi, like not all Tabaxis are like this, but they have that sly cat, like they're very just, hey man, just very chill, but also very like chill but snooty. It's a weird balance, but the personality of the Tabaxi comes out, like that cat Tabaxi comes out, but mixed with that ego, it's a weird balance. It's actually really interesting to I've been waiting to play one of them for a long time, and I hope to be able to play one of them at some point soon. They come from Garbenia. Their house is what's the best way to describe it? Almost like the White House, if you could imagine, but with more color. A more colorful version, lots of elegant pillars, lots of elegant statues and gargoyles and things of that nature on all of the eavesdrops and all of the pillars, and just this very elegant kind of almost that Romanesque kind of, do you know what I mean? Like if you were in like Julius Caesar time with lots of those like statues with an arm missing kind of thing, but it looks beautiful that way, like stuff like that. Is just kind of like adorning all around their house and lots inside as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Like a super all of those super extravagant palaces and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Exactly. Yeah, so that's House Furskrin. House Gate. The next house is House McGwain. They are crossed swords with a checkered shield. They're a human family. Cormac McGuane was their founder. They were the heads of houses in the 12th age, the 19th age, and the 26th age. And they're a family of scholars. They are seekers of knowledge. Cadwyn McGuane, 71 years old, is now the head of house. He's married, or she is married, Cadwyn is married to Peric McGuane. He's 62, and they have 3 children. Owain is 23, that's a son. Elwena is 32, and Gilnis is 37. So Aki, like, if you remember your quest to go to get the book back from the Ivory Shade, it was stolen.
Yep.
So this book was at the library. The reason it was able to be stolen, it was actually being transferred from the library to House McGuane. They were going to try and do research on some things that were happening in the world when the book was stolen by the Ivory Shade. That's how the Ivory Shade was actually able to gain access to it. These guys, like, their name mean knowledge. McGuane means knowledge, and that's what these guys are. They are they're not related to the Tengwo, but they do share a lot of similar interests with the Tengwo. They were there when the first Hall of Histories was built, when your library was built. Jess, these guys were there in helping with, what's this library about? What are we going to write about? And they just said, we're going to write about everything. The knowledge. Knowledge is power. And, he kind of gave the Tengwo direction as to what to do. So they very much helped that. The checkerboard, the checkered shield, it's supposed to represent a chessboard on their sigil. That the knowledge of what move to make next, the knowledge of what your opponent's next move is. Knowledge, again. The names can mean one thing, but names also mean many other things, because knowledge. And even so, like you could say it like knowledge is power, right? So
Definitely.
Imagine you were taking the Weirback name, power. Knowledge is power. These people are put together for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So that's what these guys are, and they try to use that knowledge in everything that they do. When they go and enter the meetings and they hold their votes and things like that, like, people look to them for their past knowledge as to, has this worked in the past? Have we tried this before? Do you think this will work now? Can you foresee this move happening? Things like that.
Makes sense. Getting the most knowledgeable to give information.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is some good frozen raspberry tea. The last house is House Brackbirch. Birch. Their sigil is a backward-facing owl. They are a Furbolg family. Pajor Brackenbirch was their founder. They were the head of house in the first age, the 7th age, the 17th age, the 21st age, and the current age. So the current age is the 27th age. We didn't talk about the house. The McGuane house. The McGuane house very much looks like a library. It's not extremely grand on the outside. It is big. It is like a large place. But if you walk inside, the walls are literally covered with books. Everywhere you go, it's just like walking through a big, like gigantic university library. The House Brackenbirch, Pajor Brackenbirch, he was the founder. Their garden, this is like, out of all the houses, Jess, this is the house that I know that you're gonna love the most, just because of what they are. They, like, Brackenbirch means flower. It means nature. It means bloom. It means, all those things put together. And they have the most beautiful garden you could ever imagine. They actually, their garden actually grows one of the foreign flowers. It's one of the 6 places in the
wow.
world that one of the foreign flowers grows.
Ah.
It's now run by Thequin Brackenbirch. He's 412 years old. He's married to Leah Dove Brackenbirch. She's 410. They have 5 children. Pagalor is 71. Paffer is 167. Those are the sons. Enela is 52. Fahana is 199. Leah Lee is 254. And those are the daughters. And, they were the beauty of Garbenia. All of the trees. You know, there's lots of like if you were to go to Clennon Hill, which is the residential area, there's lots of graveyards and things like that. They do like they make sure that all of those have like the grass is beautiful, the flowers that, or not flowers, but the plants that people plant there are beautiful, and they also make sure that the flowers, they're the monthly blooms, or grow in these areas and grow in Garbenia. With how much concrete and big city living this place is, there has to be some beauty in the world. So that's what these guys are here for, and also to keep the lifeblood going. Bloom, flowers, growth, all these things. It that's all part of birth in my world. When I talk about flowers and nature, I very much mean birth and rebirth as well, because that's what nature is, right? It can't live without life and death and cycles continuing.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's the house that's in power now, and those are the 7 houses.
Awesome.
Any questions on those guys? And again, feel free to ask anything if you want to ask anything else about anybody else. Like if there's somebody in the world that you've met before that you want to know more about or anything like that.
I'm kind of curious about the librarians.
Mm.
Sure, the ones that you met or the first ones?
The ones we met.
Okay, so the ones that you met. Let me just pull that up here really quick. Where is that? You guys aren't going to see this on the chat because I'm just pulling this from my other notes. But where is that? So yeah, so the first librarians were the Tengwo. They were the ones that had the Hall of Histories in the Widow Woods until year 1000 when it moved to Garbenia.
Yep.
So the Hall of Histories is now 371 years old. Full written history of the world. The Neymar is who they are now. So they are, they are essentially the Tengwo reborn. If that it's the same souls. But they changed their names. They changed their last names. Again, I won't tell you why. There is meaning behind everything that I do. But there was 3 before. There is 3 now. They're old. When you guys talk to them, I don't know if you remember the conversation that you had with them. Do you remember that conversation?
I do vaguely.
So Deft's character asked them how old they were. They told you they were 371 years old.
Yep, okay. I remember them.
He also asked them when they came to work and live, like be in this Hall of Histories. They told you that they've been here for 371 years.
Yeah, so they've been born there.
But how do they run? So you know what I mean? Like I won't give you answers, you know what I mean? But they were born into being able to write the histories. You know what I mean? They weren't born as babies.
No, they were born with the ability to write.
Yeah. Now, so I'll ask this question to Jess because she's kind of listened to a little bit more of this than you have at this point. What does that make you think? just out of all the lore that you know kind of now about souls, like what does that make you what does that make you question?
Yeah, so well, most recently it would probably be the souls from Idia's domain entering into. Yeah, I'm still not 100% on how that works, but it would be something along those lines, I would assume.
Yeah, so most of the souls um, enter body through rebirth, right? When somebody is born through natural causes, a soul is every time a door like a soul walks through that door, it's essentially coming out of a woman's, it's being born, whether it be a woman's vagina, whether it be like born in an egg or whatever it is, like that is when the soul walks through that door. It's being born into a person. Um, what these guys learned, and they didn't fully put too much of it together. Maybe they did, but they didn't talk about it too much. But like these souls were essentially born into these old bodies. Like the people that they were looking at were extremely old elves, and they're 371 years old, which makes sense. But they were also born 371 years ago into these bodies. Like they kind of said like this is what we've been for 371 years. I guess the reason I kind of asked you about it is because you just guys in game learned about there was somebody tried to take a soul and put it into a tree. So maybe somebody found a way to make this happen. Maybe somebody took the soul from the Tenguo and put it into these bodies. Maybe there is a way that somebody found to do that. But also, why would they do that? There's a lots of questions that come from it. But yeah, so they are now the Neymar. But yeah, so they're they're 371 years old, and how they get their knowledge is they're just kind of sitting at their desks when everybody walked into this hall of histories. It's this big circular cone of a building, and you walk up this winding staircase up it, just like leading through different floors of these circular floors, all filled with books around, and it goes in the oldest, like the first age is kind of up at the top of the library, and it goes down in the histories, the newest books down at the bottom. And there's every sort of critter that you could imagine just coming in through the doors and the windows. Little squirrels coming in carrying little notes in his claws, and little birds flying in, and they're all just dropping them on the desks of these three Neymars. And they're opening them up, and you just continually just hearing like, oh, interesting, oh, that's special, that doesn't make sense, and he crumples up and like throws a piece of paper to the ground kind of thing. And it's just this constant stream of critters just coming in and out of the building, going in one window, out the next kind of thing, just bringing them information from around the world. Nobody really knows where the information's actually written from, but nobody, like, you could try to follow one of these critters if you wanted, but they're fast. They're not just your run-of-the-mill kind of squirrel. Like, these are these animals were kind of bred for this, and they just come to and fro, giving these people information. Yeah, and they just sit there filling out these books of the what they think is important history to write in there. Like it is weird. Like if you were to look through some of these history books and really scour through them, a lot of like personal information about people and things like that are in there. Like things that like you wouldn't understand how are these guys getting this information kind of stuff, but it's in these books whether you believe it or not. And that's something that Fornera is probably used to reading. She's probably used to reading about lots of random people, lots of names that she may or not remember as she plays like through the game and stuff like that. But she's used to seeing these books written this way because that's how the Tengbo wrote them as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Anybody else you guys want to learn about?
Going to have to drop out for a bit. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Just news. So yeah, I'll try and catch you later stream.
All right, man. Thanks for being here, Aki. Have a good one.
I look forward to many more streams together.
Oh yeah, man, definitely.
See you, Jess.
See ya. Have a good night. Well, it's not
Sure.
night for you.
Yeah, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, you got it exactly.
Oh yeah, I know your time conversion at this point. Come on.
I'd be a bit worried if you didn't.
Yeah, man. All right. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
Yeah. Is there anybody else you want to learn about, Jess?
Definitely curious after meeting Tressa about Tressa and Cossessa and their family.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So Tressa and Cossessa, their last name is Proach. Proach. And they are literally what she told you. You know, they other than you are the best animal handlers in Hyrestria. Cossessa, her shop is the Furs, Feathers, Scales, and Fins that's in Garbinia. And it's much more than just like a stable. It's a pet shop. You know, she keeps thousands upon thousands of animals of every kind. You know what I mean? And some of the kind that you wouldn't imagine either. You know, like some big snarling beasts and things like that. But her and Tressa, you know, they find ways to calm these things down. You know, animals respond to them. Their parents, I don't think I actually did lore on their actual parents, but the first ones in their line was Kerase, if I'm not mistaken, Kerase, was the mother, and hair on I don't want to look it up. I know it started with an H. I think it was like Herrick. I think it was. Because I like to caress my cats, and they had hair. I was trying to put a name that has something to do with what they are. I think it was Herrick, Harick. Well, I think that's what his name. And if not, that's what I'm going to change it to now, because I like that name anyway. I think that's what it was. So those were the first of them, and they their bloodline is from your bloodline. They are the muddled down Forneras of the world. There are more of them out there like them. Most of them kind of in the wild live. A lot of them live in the Widow Woods, but they kind of like keep to themselves. A lot of them are very much loners. The people that they would kind of stay in contact with, the other ones of that bloodline, that muddled down bloodline, would mostly be like the Kenya, or like a druid like Zin, like you kind of made into the world. Somebody like that, would be their kind of like their contact to the like real world. But other than that, they kind of stay to themselves. Where the reason that the Proach family does what they do is because a lot of people don't understand some of the other creatures in Hyrestria. You know what I mean? All animals and all creatures in my world can be good. Everything in my world has that balance, that it can be good wherever the scales tip. But because so many of them are misunderstood, because nobody can talk to them really except for you or Evzin or the druids and things like that, who can kind of communicate with them. But so they wanted to try and help the world understand that these beings, like these creatures, they're no different than you and I. They have personalities too. They have feelings, they have blood, they have souls, they have hearts, they have all of these things. So they opened up this shop to try and tell that to the world, and she does a pretty good job of it. Cossessa. They at one point they were trying to tame this big, massive griffin. One of them was like they had a rope around its neck, on the one on the right side, one on the left side. The griffin went up and slashed down with both of its claws, which is why each of them is missing an eye. It happened at the same time. You know what I mean? They are twins, and and never again did they put a rope around another creature's neck. and they and they did better with things when they stopped realizing that they didn't have to capture things. If you as Fornera walked into Frills, Feathers, Scales, and Fins and asked the pets there how things are, like, are you being treated okay? Like, it would be that dog running up to you with that tail wagging and the like tongue hanging out of his mouth. Like, they are fucking, like, the animals in there are happy. They're like she takes great care of them. Even though she can't talk to them, she like they understand most animals. Like in a sense, like in a case where yesterday where that horse was completely and utterly riled up, she's not gonna be able to calm him down in the same way that you would. Eventually, she would have been able to calm that guy down, but it would have taken her a lot longer than you had. Yeah, so that's kind of who they are in the world. Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing as her yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Again, I didn't know what her voice was gonna be. It just kind of happened. Yeah, that was fun. Oh my god, when Kodak tried to come on to her,
Oh God.
she rolled a critical one, or he rolled a critical one. That was amazing. Yeah. But yeah, unless you have anybody else that you want to ask about, I think that's.
No, I think I should. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured like we would do an hour. It would be 11 o'clock, and you could get to bed. Stream. I haven't been feeling great the last couple of days, so I'm probably gonna just get off early tonight and not play any games tonight. I still have to try and draw the foreign flower for everything. That's where we're on. I can hear you smiling.
Oh
What?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll probably go sit on the couch for a little bit and try to draw that. But thanks to everybody who is here listening. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about Hyrestria. I definitely love talking about it. And yeah, probably do another lore stream, I would say, on like the next 3 or 4 days or something like that. Try to get hours in here and there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to send them over to me on Twitch or to join me in the Discord and ask them there. And I will see you all tomorrow at some point. Have a good night. Oh, wait, I didn't mean to leave you in chat.